Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Dianne Wilson. Welcome to our brand new Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. We've been meeting as a sisterhood for over 10 years, and recently we were talking amongst ourselves as leaders on what we could do in this very different season and very different era in the life of our church. 10 years ago, most of the women in our sisterhood were either not married yet, no kids, or they had grown kids and time. So we were able to meet every Friday morning. Well, recently I was looking at how many people were able to come on a Friday morning and how many weren't. And it just seemed like crazy for us to not make some changes so that we could reach more women and help more women develop in their leadership. So we're excited about this new leadership podcast, including different leaders every single week. We're having a conversation. There's going to be questions asked and answered. And my heart is to make everything practical, because leadership has got to apply to our real life, not just in theory. And so thanks for joining us. And we really hope that you enjoy this month as we focus on, of course, our Bible, which we love. We call it the Bible Book Club. And Bible in a year is amazing. This is my 17th year around the block. And of course, this month we're focusing on one of my resources, It's Time, and this is a leadership book. So thanks again for being with us and hope you enjoy. So welcome back to our Sisterhood Leadership video podcast. And last week had a really great time with Lacy and Dianne, and there was a third person mentioned, and that is your husband, Jeff. This is Pastor Jeff. He's awesome, and he had no notice about this. He just happened to be working in his office down the hall, and I thought, how cool would it be to grab the two of you, because I've known Jeff as long as I've known Lacy. Yeah. He was a little bit less skeptical than Lacy in the beginning. A little bit. He's warm and strong, and I just really love working with you and always have done. Even though you've only been on our staff for 18 months, you've been involved with ministry with us since we launched, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And I love that you're not macho man, but how tall are you?
6'4", basically.
Okay, 6'4", and he's like, you're all guy, right? But here's the thing, you're not this machismo person. And as a woman who is a leader and not a wallflower, I have asked the Lord why he didn't make me one, because it would be more comfortable sometimes. But I just have always enjoyed the fact that I can work with you and not feel like you are feeling under threat. And obviously your relationship is really unique and cool, because here, God's called you to full-time pastoral ministry. And to this point in your life, Lacy knows that the Lord has called her to the big corporate world. So just tell us a little bit about what your role is and where you work.
Okay, so I work for Macy's. It's a big giant department store. It's the largest. I think it's the largest actually in the U.S. And I work at the fourth largest in the company, and I manage multi-millions of dollars and about. I have 12 executives that report directly to me, and I have about 150 associates that then roll up to me as well. And I manage their experience. And then the customer's experience. So we have our internal customers, so that 150 and change I talked about, I'm responsible for their experience, along with the hundreds of other people that I do not know who they are that come into our store. I'm also responsible for their experience.
So would you say that one of your most, if not the most, precious commodity in your life is time? Right, so you guys have got both full-on lives. And I love watching how it all works and love how you interact together. And I'm sure when you have a little tiff, it will be fun and funny. Potentially explosive, but better that than you sitting around home doing nothing, wishing you had a life. Or you being married to the the corporate boss, and you don't have I love the fact that you're both super achievers. So just talk to us a little bit about what that's like to live with, Jeff.
I mean, you already mentioned when we have a tiff and that time's valuable. The biggest thing for us is that we don't let them last very long. Early on in our relationship, I used to make sure that we got to resolution even when she wasn't ready, and that was when That was when we really had issues. But we've learned that if we're both headed in the same direction, that they don't need to last very long, that we can overcome disagreements. What it looks like for me, I do have a strong personality. I'm not overly assertive. I'm not a dominant kind of person. That's not really my style. So that really helps in the dynamic of our household. But when it comes to living with somebody who has her kind of schedule, her kind of workload, on top of me having my kind of workload and her having a strong personality, the way it works in our household is that I believe my job as a husband is to serve my wife.
Beautiful.
And so it's not that I am her servant per se, but I serve my wife by doing the things that I can. One of the things that works the best for us, and that I would actually hope anybody would look into, is the real idea of roles in the household. We come to marriage or into relationship with these preconceived notions about what gender roles look like within a home. And I like to cook. I actually would prefer that Lacy didn't cook. I don't let her touch the laundry, at least not washing it, because I know how to separate things and to not get color bleed, etc. But those sharing.
I'm just realizing you and Danae are like, I love my laundry, don't touch my stuff, and I love cooking.
Yeah, I hate doing dishes, but we've been able to figure out what our roles are. We were able to figure it out early, and that helps save that time that's so precious for us.
Who handles the finances?
I do.
See, so God bless you. See, here's the thing. Domination isn't a Bible term.
No.
In any kind of stretch
of
it being a healthy role. So I love the fact that not only are you not dominant, that nor should you be, and you realise that this strong leadership is what you need to lead you, because the way the Bible works is you married a strong leader, and that's your life. And so I remind Jonathan all the time, because just this week maybe once, that when he met me and wanted to marry me, I was actually independent, and I wasn't needy. It didn't mean I didn't have needs. It was that I got on as though I could get on with my life. I was a single mum, had 2 little boys, and I remind him about Miss Independence and married, because I'm the same person. But we do have that flow in our house about serving and making sure. The only thing is, if I do throw the odd laundry curveball, because I do all of the laundry, like seriously, do not even enter the room unless you're going to drop stuff in there. I just love it so much. But if I'm away, the phone is off the hook. How do you do this? What button do you press? How do you? And I'm like, this is all my fault. This is all my fault, because poor Jonathan doesn't know what to do. So I
we have the same issue.
Learning a little. You should
when we had baby is when
she does sometimes.
There's things I do, right. But no one wants to eat something that's cooked by someone who's frustrated about making it. So that was kind of
That's true.
But I did when we had baby. I had to learn. He said, you're gonna be home for a little bit, and you need to learn how to use the washer. So I did learn how to use it then. And I do a couple loads a week when I'm off, But I like to fold, and I like the drawers organized. So I like to fold and put away to make sure that that's kind of how I keep the order, and I can keep all of our things easy to find. And those are that's my piece of it. Yeah, mostly everything's shared in general amongst us, which I think most married people would say.
Because
but
if it needs to be done, do it.
Exactly.
Just do it. Okay, let me ask you a question about how you guys, with your schedule, do time together, because you're 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Just kidding. You actually
more.
She does 80 to 100 hours a week or whatever corporate big thing. Also pastoral.
Yeah.
The devil doesn't sleep at 5:30 p.m. on a Tuesday.
No.
Yeah.
So it's you've got very extensive responsibilities that require you to both be paying attention to those responsibilities outside of a normal 9 to 5 job. So in all of that, what do you guys do to make sure that you have a connection without getting all stressed out and kind of like legalistic about, well, we have to have this X time, and like how do you fit it all in and have a healthy relationship?
So a couple different things. One, we are very, every year for my birthday, he'll say, what do you want? And I'll say, I want time. Mm-hmm. And then he laughs and he's like, okay, let me give you that time. But really what we do is between anniversary, birthday, and his birthday, because it's, August anniversary, my birthday, and his birthday, we always give each other time, and that's just time away. So about 4 months now, every 4 months we go away for 3 or 4 days, just us as a family. And that's really just our kind of recharge time, our connect time. And it's not that we don't connect between that time, but if we're on and we're going to a training on a Monday night, well, we might just meet a little bit early and maybe we spend 15 minutes and it's having a cup of coffee before that, or we just maybe we make that training kind of our fun time together, even though that doesn't sound fun, but we're together. It's the two of us. We might as well make the most of it. And so it's really just looking at your opportunities and not compartmentalizing anything, because there isn't anything to compartmentalize at that point. It's your life as you're living it. And then
you don't give each other a hard time. Like,
we try not to.
You don't spend time.
We try not to. There's always those times where one person's role is drawing more from them time wise, requiring more than the other, and every once in a while it's both.
Same time.
I was smart enough to add a couple of college classes to finish up some units this term, and so that obviously has an additional draw on me on top of everything else, including having an 18-month-old and whatnot, and the certification classes you talked about. But if it's an investment in your relationship, it's really perspective. Our family, we're investing in our family in those certifications, so even that is quality time. It's very important.
That's what you're talking about when you're talking about your classes. So we're going to talk about that in another session, because that's a really cool, and that'll be our catch-up, because that's an amazing story. Let me ask you how you both feel about each other when each other is on the phone all the time. Like the phone is like, what are your rules about phone rules? Or you don't have any, just what?
Well, it really depends on what you're on the phone for. Yeah. If Lacy's actually doing work, whether Candy Crush, we don't have time for Candy Crush.
I see people play phone games, and I'm like, I'd like to have a life where I have time to play a phone game, but I don't actually. But
if the phone conversation, if the phone focus is social media, or if the phone focus is randomly texting people who you're going to hang out with the next day about what you're going to do the next day, like I get that, but to some extent it's like, you're going to be with them tomorrow, let's have the time that we have, because that time I'm not going to have you tomorrow, you'll be with them. And so we're willing to have those conversations. And I recently heard the quote, it makes all the sense in the world, but the quote is that confusion is only dealt with through confrontation, and that's a minor confrontation. But it's when you're confused about why your mate is distracted, or about why you feel disconnected. It's like, hey, you say something like, hey, are you lost on Instagram at the moment? And Lacy will just like, yeah, sorry, phone's down, we're good. She's caught up for the day for social media. It's like, we have that kind of life where social media is like, end of the day, maybe we'll catch up. That we don't have the kind of life where we're checking social media all day throughout the day, because it's just something we don't have time for. But with that, you can really get caught up in the catching up in everyone else's life and miss in the catch up here. And it's just the willingness to call it out and to never take something as a personal attack. But it's like, it's purposeful.
Yeah, that's cool. And here's another question. You're both millennials.
Oh, yeah.
That's official, right?
Yeah,
he's a borderline.
I'm what some people have called the zennial, where I'm like on the older edge of millennial, on the under edge of. I possess a little bit of both.
But you totally get them.
Oh yeah.
I say them because I'm like, I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
So I'm the Rubik's Cube in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I've got the original one over there. So either got confiscated. Help our millennial audience, or people who are either working with millennials or parenting millennials. What is something in 10 years you've observed that as a leader you can't afford to take on just because you're a millennial? Something that is a cultural thing that you recognise as it's like what people are doing, but it's actually not what the Bible says to do. Like, what is one thing that you've observed that is something you've had to like go against that flow of this is what millennials do, because it's a broad, well, it's a box to put people in for a start, and not everyone fits in that box.
Yeah.
Right.
I could think of one really fast, and I don't even know if it's intentional. Like if people that are millennials really understand that this is what's happening, is the tendency towards self-promotion, putting my passions or my desire or trying to create a platform for myself, which I think social media is great for. It's meant to be social, but it's become a place where it's really about creating a platform for myself. Everybody wants to go viral. They want to increase their influence, or their social media presence is what you hear a lot. And I managed, before I came on staff, I was a manager, and all my employees were millennials except for one the entire time. And with that, self-promotion rarely gets you somewhere that is of substance.
Yep.
The Bible tells us that God promotes who He will into the positions that He wills. And so we've learned, I've always said, I'm going to trust God, and if God wants to give me more influence, God's going to give me more influence. You'll see me use social media in a much more social way, and not to promote myself. I get the tool portion of it, but it's something that I see that I would recommend millennials stray away from trying to make more of yourself. And if as a Christian, make more of God, and He will make more of you. That's just how it works.
I've watched that in your life over 10 years of being the pastor, that you have not knocked on doors, and you've not been that person, and you don't talk about yourself. But God's promoted you, and He's continuing to promote you, and you're going to, in the next 10 years, we are looking forward to seeing like a whole nother era of what's, going to happen for both of you. But it's really interesting to have like high-powered younger people, because, I'm 50, but who are actually not obnoxious about it, and not, very few people know necessarily all that you do, but the fruit of it is everything that matters. So you got a lot of people who love you in our church. All girls love you because you're like amazing to like do life with, and you are a strong male. I like the fact that here's the other thing. You are really uncanny in your ability to observe like pretty much everything.
Yeah. It's natural. I wish I could explain it and teach it.
It's actually really cool, because I've observed that in you, and it's not that you give feedback on everything, because I saw this and I watched that and I've got an opinion. You don't even share what's not asked of you, unless you know it has to be told. And I used to wonder if it was a tall person thing, because you would be like amongst, like in a conference, like if there's hundreds and hundreds of people, and your ability to spot stuff it goes beyond just natural sight. It's like God has given you that it's an amazing gift, actually. It's really cool. So knowing full well that you've been observing me for the last forever, thank you for letting me be a leader in your life, and knowing that I'm absolutely not perfect, and I know that you know that because you're a keen observer, but I love you, and you're an amazing son in the faith, amazing daughter in the faith, and I want to get you guys back so we can talk about all those other things that people are like, what were they talking about? Because that's a cool story.
Yeah, all
right. Until next week, we'll see you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.